Our final presentation for the day is Anna Ascheman. Anna lives in Spirit Lake and attends Spirit Lake High School. She is the daughter of Brenda and Dale Ascheman. The title of her project is Give Me 5.
Hello. Well, it's hard to believe, but when I was younger, I used to be really shy. I know, right? So in order to combat that, I created a dog biscuit business called Pink Canopy Dog Biscuits at the farmer's market, and that's where I learned how to count back change. And I also created a math camp in 7th grade, and I taught 4th through 5th grade girls, and I always wanted to do this again every year, but I just never found the time. And this camp was so important because girls in my community don't understand that in order to succeed in math, all it takes is hard work and perseverance, and I guarantee you will pretty much understand it. And I want to share what I have learned, both like math skills wise and like mindset with these girls. So finally this summer, I had the time to create this math camp again, and I created Give Me 5. And it turned into a history and math camp in one by solving word problems about President Herbert Hoover and Lou Henry Hoover. They discovered their contributions to society while learning math that's a different part of my thing, math skills. And they also visited Herbert Hoover's presidential library at the end of the camp. So the goals of this was to understand that they are capable of succeeding in math, and that's something Herbert Hoover really wanted people to know, is that self-help is super important and to not accept mediocrity. And that's exactly what I wanted for these girls, was to not accept mediocrity. They can do better than that. And to broaden their horizons, improve math skills, and just have fun. So I got the girls by emailing teachers and also advertising in the newspaper and radio. And it was originally going to be once a week for 2 months, but I had the honor of representing Iowa at the Jimmy Awards in New York City, so I had to change it into a 2-week camp. And every day, I would bring snacks. So I brought some Smart Water, some Smarties. I found applesauce that said Give Me 5 on them. So excited. And I also got Go-Gurt, which I changed to Go Girl. So just some positive reinforcement there. And Herbert Hoover was very good at delegating, so I delegated photography to my friend Hope. And so what the heck does Give Me 5 mean? It means like a high five, and that represents each girl's commitment to completing 20 minutes of Khan Academy 5 times a week. And that only works on the fact that if you do self-help, like Herbert Hoover said, if you don't want to help yourself, it's not going to go well. So really had to enforce that, the self-help idea. So every day we do origami. On the left here, this is Hope, my friend. I had her teach some of it. But then a problem arose, as always, and I found out the grade levels that I had were 6th through 9th grade. And I found out that half the girls did not know their math facts still. And that was a huge problem because you should know your math facts by 4th grade, 3rd grade. And so I had to create 2 different levels within my camp a couple days in. So I had some girls work on math facts, made flashcards, went out on the dock and practiced. They played Give Me 5 War, which is like the card game War, but you multiply the numbers on the cards, and whoever says it fastest wins. So it got very competitive, as you can tell. And also they did what I did when I was younger to learn math facts, which was doing it on the DS and timing yourself. So they kind of set personal records that way. It could keep track of how they did. And then the other girls, the older girls, 8th and 9th graders, pretty much did word problems instead. So during this time, I decided that I wanted to go volunteer at Hoover's Hometown Days. But then I also decided that I wanted to bring the girls with me. And in order to do this, I wanted them to learn about Herbert Hoover before they went, because whenever I go on vacation, I know that it's way more meaningful if you learn about it before you go. So in order to do that, I came up with the brilliant idea, because before it was just going to be math problems, and I changed it to incorporating Hoover into the word problems. So I wrote the word problems about Hoover, so I had to go home and research every day after camp, because I decided to do this 2 days into camp. And this is really hard to read. I did not realize that, so I'm just going to read it to you. But here's an example. Herbert Hoover was born in West Branch, Iowa on August 10, 1874. August has 31 days. The 15th of the month is on a Wednesday. Which of the following days of the week will appear 5 times that month? And also, during June, that weekend we all had, I bought some postcards and had Leslie and Alan sign some. So they also got a postcard along with the problem so they could visualize what they're seeing. And then they were like, oh, so I'm actually going to go see this in a month or so. And yeah, and this is the book that I used. I had all the word problems in there, just so you have some context as to what is going on the screen. And here's another one. Lou Henry Hoover was born in Waterloo, Iowa on March 29, 1874. She loved camping, hunting, horseback riding, and fishing with her dad. Let's say the scale on a map Tatum is holding, which was one of the girls, reads 1 inch equals 40 miles. Waterloo, Iowa is approximately 90 miles from Herbert Hoover's birthplace in West Branch, Iowa, blah, 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 blah. And that is the postcard I gave with that one. And I have a problem for you guys to test your skills. So take note. So Herbert Hoover, an orphan at 9, boarded a train headed for Oregon. He was sent to live with his uncle, Henry Minthorn. Let's pretend the passenger train has 297 passengers aboard. There were 45 passengers in each of the first 4 cars of the train. Each of the remaining 3 cars had an equal number of passengers. How many passengers were there in one of those cars? Any answers? I'm just kidding. You don't actually have to answer it. So also on the front it says, work hard, stay humble. That's something that President Hoover really was, and I wanted the girls to be. So, and it really stems back into his Quaker faith. And so that's what I explained to them, gave them this postcard, and then they were going to go see that eventually. And then also there was a section in the book where they could record their Give Me 5. So like if they did 20 minutes of math facts one day, they can write that down and keep track of it themselves. And then on the back, I took a quote from The Uncommon Man that I thought would be really good for the girls to hear, that I thought was the most important, and I also gave them the postcard with it. And we also created a Hoover Ball team to take to Hoover's hometown days. So we practiced at the beach one day, and we didn't have a Hoover ball, so we used a basketball and then some weight ball that was extremely heavy and it didn't work well, but it was a lot of fun. And then also they ran the dog biscuit business I did a long time ago to learn how to count back change. It was a blast. We got record sales, just for the record, and they got a lot of tips. They had a lot of fun. They were shy in the beginning, but they got used to it. So then we took the 5-hour trip down to Hoover's hometown days. So we stopped at Pocahontas and Mallard because there's some iconic statues there, just kind of to broaden their horizons. It's fun. Played Hoover Ball at night, as you can tell, very exhausting. And the next day, they volunteered at Hoover's hometown days. And the thing they were most excited to see out of anything, I don't know why, was Isis, the statue. We read the book, a book that they gave us the weekend in June that we had for Uncommon Student Award thing. And and we read that on the way down. So they thought this thing was spooky, and that was their favorite thing. And so then we went to the Quaker meeting house, and we had a Quaker meeting. So we sat there in silence, and then also shook hands to end the meeting. I also gave them the tour of the cottage, and we had read in the book that there are square nails in the cottage. So we raced to see who could find the first square nail. And then also the symbolism between the birthplace and then the trees not being there and going on to the grave site. And then toured the museum as well. We got a ride from the Deline Mobile. That was exciting. And then we got to meet Leslie too, or the girls did because I had already met her, but I bought them memberships to the museum so that they could get things in the mail, because that's always fun at that age when you went somewhere, and then to get it in the mail just kind of helps them remember what happened. Outcomes of this camp, it was definitely successful. The girls it was really different for each girl for what they took away from it. I know one girl, it really was the social. She made a lot of friends from this and maybe didn't have that many before. So it really gave her the self-esteem she needed going to school, because if you don't feel confident going to school, you're probably not going to do as well in academics. for some, getting the math facts down, like that is so important. If you don't know math facts, like I guarantee you will hate math because it'll make no sense. And just a bunch of things. And also like the broadening your horizons with Herbert Hoover and all these activities. There's nothing like this camp in Northwest Iowa or whatever where you can go learn math and about Herbert Hoover at the same time and get it all for free, and then go actually see it in real life and get to feel the history. That was what made it really cool, this camp. But not only for them, I took just as much or maybe even more away from this camp than they did, because I had no idea how hard it would be to control a group of only six middle school girls on a field trip. No idea. So I really got my leadership skills up from that, because I was drum major for marching band, but that's high schoolers. It's so different. I had no idea it'd be that different, but it was a great experience. And I also just learned a lot about Herbert Hoover too, doing all that research and just even getting my writing skills better by writing those word problems. Future plans, I've already tutored a girl. This girl couldn't make it to the camp, so I tutored her with math facts. And her mom sent me this picture of her doing it. But I also kind of want to do a math fact boot camp, because that would just be a great thing. It really saves girls' lives. Really, if you don't know your math facts, I mean, you're not going to be good at math. And finally, this was so well worth it. This camp, this girl, she didn't have much drive when she first came, but she later said, I quote, "I used to hate math facts until I got good at them. I want to get as low of a time as possible. I'm going to be so ready when I go back to school," unquote. And I just want to say real quick before time runs out that thank you so much for making this a thing, because my camp wouldn't have been near as good as it is now, because I was just going to do math until I found out about the Herbert Hoover, because I never would have incorporated that into my camp, and that made it so much more impactful to have this Herbert Hoover. So thank you. Any questions?
How did you go about finding the camp participants?
I emailed fourth through eighth grade teachers, and then they emailed me back with like a list of girls who they thought could benefit because like math facts or whatever, or just because they're already good at math. And then I also advertised in newspaper and the radio.
Where did you get the funding for this?
It all was out of pocket, but the whole like $1,500 will also go towards like reimbursing that. But the Pink Canopy dog biscuits that they did, that was kind of self-owning that like I'm helping myself, self-help, going down to West Branch, because they got money from that too. So that's where that money went to.
Just curious about going forward. You talked a little bit about your future plans, but is this something that you are recruiting people to kind of keep up these camps when you go off to college, or what are your plans for keeping this kind of energy going?
Yeah, I planned on saying a lot more on that, but then I saw the sign, I was like, oh no! But anyway, so I really like teaching, and I really do like math too. It's just fun to me, so I definitely want to continue the tutoring, because the math facts, it's kind of fun. I don't know why, I just find it fun, like seeing how fast they can get it done. I don't know why. But then I wanted to try and do the math fact boot camp, because from this I realized how important math facts were. I mean, I always knew they were important, but I just never realized it. And just doing word problems, yeah, that enhances their like math career, I guess, but math facts like kind of save you from having a bad one. So I wanted to do that next summer. But after that, I mean, maybe if I were to come back in the summer, I might not come back, but I would probably do it out where I'm at in college. So like I wanted to kind of go out on the East Coast, so probably somewhere out there they would have things. But yeah, I might see if Hope, the one girl who did photography for me, she's a smart girl, like really responsible. I'm trying to get her to do this program, but maybe she would be like willing to take this up.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.